It's great to see you back for another market update. We are looking at the real estate stats for Charlotte, North Carolina for October 2023. Every single month, I like to show you what happened in the previous month once we have all of the data compiled so that you have a good picture about what's happening in the Charlotte real estate market. In today's video, you're going to find out about the prices, the inventory, and the days on market, among other stats. So if you're thinking about buying or selling in the Charlotte area, these numbers should matter to you. So be sure to stick around to the very end so you can get a full picture about what's happening in the Charlotte, North Carolina real estate market. If we haven't met before, I'm Kristen, and I post videos every single week about what's happening in the Charlotte area. We look at real estate stats, we look at new construction neighborhoods, we look at some resale neighborhoods. We also look at a lot of what it's like to live, work, and play in Charlotte, North Carolina. So if any of that is interesting to you, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click on the bell so that you get notified every time we post new videos. Without further ado, let's jump into the current real estate stats for October 2023. The first one we're going to take a look at is new listings. These are the homes that hit the market in the month of October, and in that month we had 4,124 new listings. That is a decrease from last month, which is pretty typical. If you look over the historical new listings, you can see that it tends to follow a pretty common pattern. But when we're going to look back at 2023 years from now, when things are into a whole new normal, who knows what it'll be in a couple years. But when we look back at the historical data from 2023, I think people are just going to say, what a weird year we had in real estate. Because look at this graph compared to all of the other years that we have on the historical timeline here. And it is just bizarre, to be honest with you. So we've been up and down this year, and as of right now, we are 2.6% lower in new listings than we were in October 2022. So that gives you an idea of where we stand. That's really not a crazy difference. If you look back over like the difference in April, May, and June and July, we were in the 20s and almost 30% decrease. So truthfully, a 2.6% decrease from last year is not that drastic. The next stat we're going to take a look at is pending sales. This is a count of all of the properties that went under contract in the month of October. We had 3,207 homes go under contract in October 2023 in the entire Charlotte MLS, and that was an increase from September and a 3% increase from October 2022. So that is, if you look over the historical numbers here, you see it goes up and down, but typically in the fall and into winter, we're seeing this number go down. So I wouldn't anticipate a huge change next month, probably down a little bit. All right, let's jump down to the next stat. So of course, closed sales is exactly what it sounds like. It is a count of all of the homes that closed in the month of October. We had 3,156. Now this number is a little bit delayed because remember, the closings that happened in October are the under contracts from September for the most part. So a lot of times in September, things kind of slow down because a lot of people are kind of bombarded with the back to school rush, and things change, schedules change, new normals change. So September tends to be a little bit slower, and that means fewer closings in October. So we did go down from September, and we had a 13.5% decrease from last year in October. So if you look over the historical, our 2023 and our historical timeline really doesn't look that drastically different from the other years, at least as of recently. So if you look over things, all the numbers, even though they feel crazy in the moment, don't tend to be that bizarre when you're looking back over long periods of time. This next stat is one of my favorites because it really plays a big part in every piece of the puzzle when you're buying or selling real estate, and it's days on market. Days on market went up slightly to 32, and that just means it's counting the days of active and under contract show. So if you're allowing showings, then you're counting days on market. And for 32, I mean, if you look back historically, 32 is pretty low. We've had some very high days on market historically, although it feels like it might be a little bit high because we're kind of fresh out of that market where sometimes things were taking 14 days, 15 days, 16 days on average. And now we're looking at a month or more. So people who are buying properties, you might not have to jump out and purchase that first weekend. And people who are selling properties, you have to kind of give yourself a little bit more of a buffer time. In very recent history, you could put the property on the market when you had only 45 days until you had to get out. Now you have to give yourself a little bit of buffer time because it might take 30 to 60 days to even go under contract. So just keep that in mind. If you're thinking about selling, the timelines might look a little bit different than what you may have heard from friends and family who have sold recently. The next stat we're going to talk about really is talking about how homeowners are feeling about the current market. So homeowners decide their list price, and that doesn't necessarily correlate to what it's going to sell for, but it does give you an idea of how the homeowners are feeling, how confident they're feeling about the market. And we saw an average list price in October of $494,531, which was just a bit lower than it was in September. In September, we had a huge increase from the month before. So again, this is an average. It's taking into account all of the homes. So it might be taking into account luxury lakefront properties, and it might be taking into account mobile homes and everything in between. So this number can vary greatly based on what's happening very hyper locally. So 494,531 is a slight decrease from last month, and it actually is a 7.6% increase from October 2022. Now, on the flip side of that, the average sales price tells you more about what the buyers are doing, how healthy the market is, because if this number is going up, it means buyers are still buying properties and they're buying them quickly. If that price is coming down, it means buyers are not so heavily in the market, or it means that things are taking a little bit longer to sell. So this number for October 2023, the average sales price, $467,869, which is just slightly lower than September 2023. And it's a 2.5% increase from October 2022. So we're not seeing these crazy high jumps like back a couple years ago. We were seeing huge increases year over year. 2.5% is not a huge increase, and it's actually lower than the long-term average of like 4 or 5%. So it's telling you that prices aren't going up quite as quickly as they do over long periods of time. What that means for you, if you are selling a property, you want to price it properly. If you price it too high, then the buyers are not going to be attracted to that house. They're not going to come and see it. They're not going to make an offer on it, and that's going to impact your bottom line, what you end up with. So pricing your home properly is extremely important. You want to attract those buyers in droves so that you get lots of showings and lots of offers, which would actually push your price up. I know lots of you are waiting for this stat, the percent of original list price received, because it tells you, it kind of is a full picture. It's telling you a mixture of how the days on market is going and how the sales prices are going, all in one number. The percent of original list price received for October 2023 was 97.4%, just a hair lower than September. 0.9% increase from October 2022. So not huge leaps and bounds up or down. It's staying fairly consistent. And that tells us that homes are selling for, on average, 97.4% of the list price. This still tells you that the homes are selling for less than what they're listed for on average, but that, again, you have to take into account that that is not the same for every home. This is an average over the entire Charlotte market. So if you're thinking about buying or selling in a specific neighborhood or zip code, I would rather give you that number for that specific area. because real estate is hyper local. The number one rule, what do they say? The 3 rules of real estate: location, location, location. That matters when you're buying or selling. So being hyper local is super important. If you're thinking about buying or selling in a specific zip code or neighborhood, reach out. My information's on the screen. I can give you these stats for that area so that you can have a clearer picture about what's happening in the market. Last up, we're going to take a look at the month supply of homes for sale. What this tells you is that if the market completely halted, if no more homes hit the market, this is how long it would take for the inventory to completely be depleted. And for October 2023, that is 1.8 months. A lot of people look at this number to tell you if it is a buyer's market or a seller's market when the number is very high. Maybe like some people say over 6, but in this market, I would say even over 4 would be a buyer's market. And then lower than that is going to be a seller's market. If you look back historically, 09, 2010, 2011, 2012, that was a buyer's market. In Charlotte, we've really been in a seller's market basically since 2015. So that's something to note, right? We would need a huge influx of inventory to shift into a buyer's market. So that doesn't seem likely. We'll probably be staying in a seller's market for quite some time. Well, those have been your real estate stats for October 2023 for the entire Charlotte, North Carolina area. If you have any questions about any of the stats we've gone over today, you know how to reach me. My information is right there on the screen for you. Or you can also leave a comment below if you have a general comment about the video, or if you have an idea for something you'd like to see in an upcoming video. I'd love to see that comment as well. I so appreciate you stopping by and spending these couple minutes with me as we went over the stats for Charlotte. I would love to see you in the next one, so be sure to subscribe and click on the bell so that you get notified the next time we post a video. Bye.